Should we bash Portland? I know Dev got some harsh words for Portland, man.
Weekly
I don't
playing
even know,
slander.
man. Like,
Are they
I
worth it
like
at this
bash,
point?
I like bashing Portland, but like, it's just getting old at this point. It's just getting old. Like Washington, I can still give a hard time to because they're at least in the middle of their era of I can give them a hard time because they've been mediocre for a while, but John Wall was out and they hadn't re-signed Bradley Beal yet. Maybe they'd still move him before the end of his contract. Now we're really in that era. I feel like we've just been saying the same thing about Portland for years now, and they're in the middle. There's no upside. They're probably going to lose in the first round. Defense isn't great. Not making the right moves. Selling guys for poor value at the deadline. And they probably should just trade Dame and start over. And it's been the same thing for years. Same thing this trade deadline. Just like last year at the trade deadline. Made moves. They sold those guys for pretty poor value. And they're now worse, even though they're supposedly trying to win. It just doesn't make any sense. They need to pick a direction and go with it. And they've usually been pretty good at that. And they've usually decided, we're going to try and win. And they couldn't even stick with that at the deadline this year. They at least got good value back for Josh Hart. So I'll give them that. But, I mean, what does a pick do for them at this point? I mean, they need to push to just even get in the play-in at this point because they've committed significant assets and financial resources to be good, and they might not even make the play-in tournament. So I don't know, man. I got nothing to say about Portland. You get Cam Reddish. Hopefully he does well over there, and that's about all I got to say.
It's not looking hot for them, man. I think this is gonna have to get it's gonna have to get like a D or D plus, man. I think looking at what they did, like Josh Hart was a quality role player for them. Gary Payton the second, quality role player, and that was just such a mess of a situation too. Like I want to take points away from them for like the whole failed physical thing and everything. Like, what are you doing? Like they said, like the wasn't what the Warriors like we're gonna file something with the league or something like over what Port. I don't know. It was some like big thing. And it's like, what is your goal here? Like, oh, you brought in Matisse Thybulle, like solid defensive guard to put next to Dame. You had Gary Payton already. Like he could have been that, but less offensively challenged. Championship winning player. It's just across the board. What you picked up some picks? You still have Damian Lillard on the roster. Like Devin said, what is your direction? And right now, their direction is a lack of, I guess. I mean, the offseason rebuild was like, okay, maybe you can reload, try to be solid, but then you look at where they are right now, below 500, 12 seed. Like, and you try to get worse, there's only 3 spots to go down. And they're not getting bottom two, I can tell you that, because I don't think those two teams are reaching 27 wins. So what are you doing? Going down 1 spot? It's just like it's really just a loss, man. I guess if you thought Kevin Knox's Fortnite suit was cool, that's a win.
Yeah, I kind of hate this team now. I really do. I used to like them when it was like the CJ Dame, when they were kind of in the middle of that era. But towards the end, it was getting sour. It's like, okay. Like Devin said, it's like a repeating door. Like, they're going to be like a maybe 8 seed type team, play-in type team. Probably losing the first round, maybe win a game or something like that. But now it's getting old at this point. The only reason I will see them making this trade is if their plan in the offseason was, okay, let's blow it up. Because this is now a really young roster around Damian Lillard. Like, the only vets on that team is really like Nurkic, I guess Jeremy Grant, and maybe like Drew Eubanks. Like, not really that many older guys on that team, right? You got a lot of young dudes. Anthony Simon, Shaedon Sharp. You bring in Cam Reddish. Like, you got a Matisse Thybulle. You got a lot of younger guys on that team. But we know their plan in the offseason is not going to be the trade Dame. They're going to do the same thing that they did last offseason. Like, you know what? We can make some moves. We can get better. We're going to use these 5 second-round picks we got for Gary Payton, this first round from the Knicks. Maybe throw Cam Reddish in there. Like, we can get another middle-tier player at their position, like how Jeremy Grant kind of was for them. That's what they're gonna do. When what they should do is we should probably rebuild because Anthony Simons is a really good young player. Shaedon Sharpe is showing flashes of being a really good player too. Maybe Cam Reddish can fit in there. Like we got some young guys. Get a high draft pick. That's what they should have done, but we know they didn't do it at the deadline, and they're not gonna do it in the offseason because they are delusional and think that they can build something around Dame, but it's just not gonna happen. So I'm gonna give them like a C-.
Yeah, instead they're gonna have to use all those picks to replace Jeremy Grant because I can't imagine he's feeling too good about wanting to re-sign in Portland the way they've been playing this year. But yeah, I'm settling with a D grade for them. And the only reason it wasn't lower is because they actually did get pretty good value back for Josh Hart. But I mean, that's just value for value's sake. It didn't really fit with the supposed direction they were going in before the beginning of the season. So yeah,
right.
I don't know.
It's annoying because they could have a really like sexy rebuild, like trade Dame, get maybe a young guy in return and hella picks, and that could be the start right there. You got Shaedon Sharpe, Cam Reddish in there, whatever young guy you get back. Maybe it's a young big, maybe a young wing player, and then hella picks. Like that could be such a sexy rebuild. But hey, I'm not a GM, so I can't make the decisions for him.
We needed him to be an Eastern Conference point guard, man. We needed Dame on one of those East contenders, like a Milwaukee Buck or something. I don't know how they would have made it happen, but we needed it, man.
At this point, I don't know who would have the value because Dame's still really good. For some reason, I'll always come back to Denver being the team. Like I think that would kind of put Denver over the top if you could do something. Maybe it's Jamal Murray, maybe it's MPJ too. Like I feel like they could do something around that.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think Denver are definitely a fit. I think Brooklyn are in a pretty darn good spot to do something like that right now too. If they want to flip the switch and be competitive right again, they could put Simmons in the trade. They could put Cam Thomas in the trade, and they got a bunch of firsts to play with now. So that could be the type of team to make a move too.
It could be such a good rebuild, but sadly it's not going to happen. But that could shake up the league a little bit and also make their future really bright. And then let those young guys really rock out because obviously Shaedon Sharpe is not in a position to really show what he can do because not only do you have Dame, but Anthony Simons is the number 2 and Jeremy Grant's the number 3. All of those guys are averaging 20-plus points. So, you're kind of hindering your young talent from growing while hindering your franchise from getting better as well.
That's just the Portland way, but to keep going in, year out, and it is what it is, man. It just seems to be where they are at this point.